Good afternoon and welcome to Pi Day, PI 314. Yes, and this is the Central Florida Computer Society Windows Special Interest Group, or the WinSIG, for March 14th, 2021. I'm Huey Poplock, and I do welcome everyone that's online. We've got over 50 people, and we're ready and raring to go. And let me go ahead and minimize this. And let's see, let's go to my new website. And if you haven't gone there yet, it's still where it was, but I've changed it a little bit. I have deleted a lot of things that have been just taking up a lot of room. A few people have occasionally gone to them, but a lot of things were there that hadn't been touched in 10 years or 5 years. And I went ahead and just streamlined it, made it a lot easier for me to maintain it. Just a quick look on the main page. You've got some information about Tech for Seniors, Chromebooks, a little bit about the history, Jerry's tech tips. And then if you want to subscribe to our Windows monthly newsletter, most of you, I think, that are on here today are subscribers, but if not, please go ahead and fill that out. That's only for the Windows newsletter. It is not the Tech for Seniors newsletter. Let's see, I'm going to mute everybody. I forgot to do that. Let's do that now. If you need to speak, you can unmute yourself, but I have muted everybody. But what I wanted to show you is under the YouTube, you now have all of my channel and all of my videos, the senior Tech for Seniors channel and all of their videos, the CFCS channel, and you can just click one button. It'll take you right to their channel. Learning Chromebooks, Bob G's channel, APCUG's channel of all of the recordings for the VTCs are available there. And then the Sarasota Technology User Group, which I'm a member of the board of directors. And so I also have a link to their channel and all of their recordings on one page, one place where you can go and get to any of them. I also talk about the Speakers Bureau from APCUG. Some of you are members of other APCUG groups from around the country and Canada. And if you are, I hope you're using the Speakers Bureau. I'm one of the speakers. Ron Brown is on here, I believe. Ron's a speaker, and there's probably a few more of us online. And some of my topics are here with actually recordings. Some of them may be older versions of what I'm doing now. I've updated several of them. There's the Chromebooks, the Tech for Seniors, and then the WinSIG page. The WinSIG page has changed a little bit, but right now all I have is this year's meetings, but there are links to all of the items that I cover. And then after the meeting, usually by the next day, the video for that meeting is available on YouTube. And if you go to the website, you can click on it. It'll take you right to the YouTube place and start playing the video for it. These are the items I'm going to cover today. And then also, I do want to make sure, please go to the blog page. I am going to, instead of posting a lot on Facebook, I am going to write my blogs and then paste a link to the blog. So there's some, I moved some of the major articles that I had, but only a few of them, not all of them, from what I had on the old website. My first website went up in 1995, and I've done several updates, and this is the most recent. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you use it, and please do. So I am going to now go to the WinSIG page, and these are the items that I have scheduled for today. These are all articles. It links to the article, and let's go to Windows 10 version 20H2. That means the 2020 and the second half. In the next month or two, you're going to see 21H1, but it's not ready. I have not seen a date on it, and I've not seen any really good articles on what the changes are going to be. And so I'm guessing by next month, we'll have more information on that, and I'll be able to discuss that and show you some of the changes that are going to be coming, or maybe by then that are already there in the latest version of 21H1. But what this article is talking about is, and let's make this bigger, is more people now have gone to the Windows 10 H20H2. They're up to almost 17% of all of the Windows users are using the latest version. The Windows 10 2004 is about 40%, and the 1909 or 2019 second half version is about 31%. And then there's some interspersed, or the insiders have their own group, 1803, 1809, and 1903 in small numbers. So it's gaining, but a lot of people have not updated to the latest version, and now we're almost ready for the next version. So bear that in mind, and you might not be as secure as you should be, and you really should update to the latest version. Don't be afraid of it, but I do caution you, before you do any of those updates, do make sure that you've backed up. You should be backing up anyway. And also remember, your computer knows if you haven't backed up. So don't let it say, okay, I haven't backed up in a while, I'm going to crash on you. So make sure you're not in that position and you're able to take care of it. I got to move this down because I can't see it because of one of the menus on my screen. Microsoft, and let's make again this. Well, you know what? I'm going to go to this and then make this bigger. We'll screen it. Just make it so you can read it. Microsoft forcibly installs one of their knowledge bases updates to remove Flash from Windows. If you remember, a few years ago, Flash was very popular, and even some websites were totally built on Flash. But Flash had a lot of security issues. And even Adobe now, where Flash came from, no longer, not only doesn't support it, they have taken it off, and they recommend that everyone remove it from your computer. And Microsoft is making sure that if you're running Windows 10, that if it sees it and was installed by Windows, it will remove it. If you installed it, it may not have removed it. You really need to go in and check to see if you have removed your Flash or not. But what this did is, the Adobe Flash Player is out of support as of December 31st, and I'm reading right here. Apply this update will remove the Flash Player from your Windows device. The update has been applied. After this update has been applied, this update cannot be uninstalled. And this update only removes the Flash Player that was installed by your version of Windows. If you installed Adobe Flash Player manually from another source, it will not be removed. For more information on how to remove Adobe Flash Player, see Uninstall Flash Player /Windows topic on the Adobe website. So make sure you do uninstall it. And occasionally you may go to a website, or you may click on something that wants to run Flash, and it said, do you want to install it? Don't do it. Don't run whatever they're trying to run. There are a lot of security issues, and there are still bad guys out there that want you to install it and run something they have done in Flash. Windows 10X. Good. Microsoft wants to confuse us more with more information and another Windows something, and they're calling it Windows X. So let's find out a little bit about Windows X. The new thing. Well, that may be the title of one of the best technology books of 1999. It looks like Microsoft is taking a leaf out of it for Windows 10X. Expected to make its debut for education-focused devices very soon, we have a few hints regarding marketing play that Redmond is making for this upcoming operating system. According to the very reliable Walking Cat, the official marketing materials for Windows 10X is being called the new Windows. Not much telling this nomenclature, and there were whispers that the software titan may end up calling it something else entirely, because after all, there was a time to move away from the Windows branding, and that was this was it. But it seems like Redmond wants to keep the goodwill of the Windows brand flowing. The new version of the OS will, of course, be optimized for devices in the Chromebooks category. That's what they're going after. That is to say that the Windows 10X is not meant to be a replacement for the Windows 10 platform, and will be targeting the mainline operating system itself is soon going to be 6 years old. What we do know about the new Windows is that it'll become available this year and target the education market. A consumer push will follow next year. At launch, Windows 10X will not be able to run legacy Win32 apps natively, though support for these desktop programs is sure to follow at a later date. That means a lot of earlier Windows programs won't even run on it. The main goal of the new operating system is a lightweight version of Windows that is both easy to manage for IT admins and work great with Microsoft Store and web apps. Its main competition is going to come from Chromebooks, which have started to enjoy some real momentum in the US market. Quite a turnaround for an operating system that was destined for dual screen devices like the Surface Neo, but its current evolution should come as no surprise for those who follow the technology industry. What they were going to do is 10X was only going to be available on certain computers that had dual screens, and they've thrown that out. Now they're going to just come out with it's going to be special hardware that you have to purchase to run Windows 10X. You're not going to be able to run it on a current computer. But there's going to be, let's see, let's go on to the next article about Windows 10X. And go here. And then make it larger. Okay, this is from Mary Jo Foley. If she writes a column called All About Microsoft, and she and Paul Thurrott are in Windows Weekly on this week in technology or TWIT in their network of programs. Anyway, this is what the start menu is going to look like, and you'll see the search is going to be at the top of the start menu. And supposedly near final build of Microsoft's Windows 10X operating system leaked to the web last night, and this was a week or two ago. It largely looks like what we'd been expecting for a while now, a more streamlined version of Windows that will debut on PCs this year, which Microsoft is aiming at first-line workers and those in the education space. And it goes on to tell you a little bit about it, with some of the things that I just talked about. Microsoft is not expected to have the Win32 app support working on the first iteration. I just mentioned that. And the as still yet officially unannounced Azure-based cloud PC desktop as a service offering, which I last heard is also spring 2021 deliverable. And I did a meeting here a few months ago where we talked about Microsoft as a service, or Windows as a service, and not where it's installed on your computer, you're using it a lot like the Chrome OS. Windows 10X is the next generation Windows operating system built to run on next generation form factor devices from Microsoft and a host of other OEM partners. Let's see what else it says here. Maybe the cloud powered is simply a reference to Microsoft 365 and its associated services like OneDrive and Office web apps. A few years ago, Microsoft and some of its OEMs briefly toyed with the idea of marketing some PCs as Microsoft 365 powered devices. Microsoft pulled back from that naming, but maybe it'll soon be ready to take another stab at the idea of devices that are cloud powered ones. So this is coming. So a lot of changes are going to be in the next couple of months. So it's important that you keep joining us here at Windows SIG or WinSIG each month, because we're going to be talking about these things as they come available, or at least more information is here about them. And while I'm doing that, let's go ahead and take a break from my screen and see if there's any questions or comments. Don't forget you're muted. I muted everybody. And unmute yourself. Do you have a question or comment?
I have a comment. My neighbor across the street, we just bought him a new computer, and it's one of the teeny tiny little ones. And he called me yesterday and said, I got this pop-up from Microsoft that says my version is not going to be supported any longer. Remember, brand new computer, less than a month old. And so I went over there, and it was interesting because when we looked in About, it said it had the fall version, but in actuality, it still had 1909. And so I started updating it manually, and I updated maybe a half a dozen 1909 updates. And then all of a sudden I clicked one last time, and last fall's version came down. And I was really surprised about that, because I thought it was a scam, because I'd never had anything like that happen.
Yeah, so yeah, if you don't update, you will get messages like that. But yeah, that's surprising that he bought a new computer and it was and it still had an older version on there. But that's something you have to be careful of. It was probably in stock, or he bought it from somebody that bought some of the older new boxes. So.
It was Staples. And it was a Lenovo. And I told him with his SSD it would be so fast, and he goes, oh, I don't care about that. And when I went over there, he was grinning from ear to ear about how fast it was when it turned on.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this is Steve. I have a comment. My first thought about this update is that it sounds like it's just a money grab for MS, to hook you again for, staying more closely attached to them. On the other hand, I think a lot of frustration with people, particularly seniors and people that are not so familiar with computers. They're frustrated, I think, when their computer is not doing what they want it to do. It's slow. A lot of times, I think the reason for that is because behind the scenes, when you really don't know what it's doing, it's updating. So it is using processor time to update and not allowing whatever it is you're trying to do it. And there's more and more. If it's not Microsoft, it's Chrome, the browser updating, whatever. And it seems like the updates are just thrown at you. There is a way, of course, you can stall those updates for like 7 days. And they know, of course, that you will, you'll click on that stall, and they know that you'll forget, and that's the reason it's only 7 days. you really don't want to go too far, too long without having, an update. So maybe, though, this is a good thing as they move you more and more to sort of cloud-based type of computing, because then the updates they're doing in the background. And it's going to cost you, of course. You're going to pay for the additional services, but and I really don't like that. I kind of like the old legacy systems, standalone. But maybe there's a benefit with all the hacking that's going on, intrusions. You'll have maybe better security, of course, hopefully. So I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm not sure. The Windows X and the Windows as a service may be two different things. And I'm not sure they, with Microsoft having not really said a whole bunch about what's coming, we don't know. But I have a feeling that when you buy a Windows X machine, it's going to be like buying a Chromebook, where if you use the Windows as a service, you're going to be able to replace on any Windows machine. You'll be able to update and get the service.
Yeah.
Tony, you had a question.
Yes, I just want to comment on what you've already told us several times, is that when you want to delay the updates for 7 days, you can click it 4 more times for a total of 35 days. You're not limited to just 7 days.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay,
Well,
thanks.
you already told us that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you can do that.
At your peril, perhaps. So you have to be careful about that.
But yeah, you're correct. And sometimes the updates in Windows take so long, where I know with Chrome, I just did the update from 88 to version 89 earlier this week, and it was one of the longest updates that I've had on a Chromebook, and it was almost 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Where
I do
with
mine
Windows,
overnight.
with Windows, sometimes it takes overnight, and sometimes even longer. So by having a pared down operating system, maybe the Windows X will resolve that. And because they're aiming at the education market, because right now Chromebooks own that. They were at 65%, and I believe they're a lot higher than that now. And they've overtaken even the Apple computers in the number of units that they're selling. It's they've come a long way, and there was a big thing this past week from Google that they're going to split off the operating system and the Chrome browser a little bit sometime in the near future. And so they're going to be able to update the browser more often without doing the operating system, but they are going to be updating the browser every 4 weeks instead of 6 weeks that they're doing now.
I have Chrome on my my smartphone, my Android. Is it going to affect that as well?
They'll be updating it more often.
Yeah.
The Chrome browser. Yeah. Okay, if there are no more comments, I'll go back.
Yeah,
Share
Huey,
my screen. Yeah, somebody.
it's Walter.
Okay.
I noticed on the screenshot that showed the remote desktop icon for that Windows X. And I know that's the same program that I had to install when I was using Windows Virtual Desktop. So I'm assuming that if you had Windows programs that wouldn't work on the actual computer, that you could run them on the Windows Virtual Desktop, which would be in a virtual, in the cloud someplace in Azure. So you would still have access if somebody was to set that up for you. So if it was an education or business application or something like that, it could be in the Windows Virtual Desktop, and you still have the same ability to run Windows programs, except they'd be running virtually on a VM.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's going to have enough memory to be able to do a lot of that.
Well, it wouldn't need to, because the only thing you're getting with Windows Virtual Desktop is you just have to show whatever the screen's got.
Okay.
You're not actually running anything on the local machine.
Okay, I don't know. We'll have to see when they start releasing and talking more about it, when it's not guessing by the pundits and it's actually Microsoft telling us what they're going to be doing. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But things are changing, and for those of us who, like Judy said, the one person is still using XP. For those of us members in some of our groups that are fighting going to Windows 10, there's a lot of people still out there on XP and Windows 7, and it might help bring some of them around to a more secure, updated operating system easily and without having a lot of the issues that we have that are running full systems and have to update on a regular basis.
I have a a very old laptop that will only run Windows XP. Well, you can't upgrade it to even 7. So I decided I'm going to learn about Linux and put Linux on it, and I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and there's some pretty good Linux videos on the APCUG channel that John Kennedy has done, and I don't know if there's some others who've done some as well. on using Linux, and you might want to take a look at those. Okay. Share screen. Okay, so let's move on to 10 useful features hidden in Windows 10. What are we doing for time? Okay, we're doing good. I'm going to stay in the article because I do want some of the pictures and so on, but we're going to see some ads that this was just earlier this year that I saw this article. But let's take nearby sharing. Now, I don't use this, but nearby sharing is a recently added to Windows 10. It's a feature that lets you share files, documents, and links to nearby Windows 10 devices. It uses Wi-Fi and Bluetooth networks for transferring the files wirelessly. Now you don't require a USB drive to share the data with your nearby colleagues or friends. You can do that seamlessly using Windows 10 nearby sharing. To enable it, search for nearby sharing on the Windows search bar and click on the suitable icon to launch its settings. And then you configure the settings and enable the nearby sharing. I'm not going to do it. I don't have it done, but what I'll do is I'll come down here and say that's, what was it called? Make sure I got it right here. Nearby sharing. So I come down here and type in nearby sharing, and immediately pops up here. You click on it, and there is the information. You can turn it on, and you can do the settings. And be careful if you're going to use this, but it could be a way that you could have your computer, your laptop, and somebody else's laptop right nearby and be able to share files without having to run a wire between them, without having to do different programs and so on. So you might, if that's something that you do, you might want to look into how to use it. And I'm sure there's lots of videos on YouTube that'll help you learn how to do it.
I guess the assumption is both systems have to have Windows 10 and sharing.
Yes, I would guess so too. On the timeline, now this is something else I played with when it first came out, but I didn't have a real use for it. That I don't use it, but I do use the instead I use the Alt tab a lot, but not the Windows tab. You know, if you do a Windows tab, I'm sharing my screen so I can do this, Windows tab, you'll see that I've got different things open and I can pick and choose, so I can switch back to this and do the Windows tab again, decide what I want, and come back to where we were. So you can have different things open and move back and forth between them quite easily using the timeline. So if you're doing a lot of switching and you're minimizing a window and then full screening another window, and you're going back and forth all the time, and doing that, just do the Windows key and tab, you'll get your timeline. You can switch to whatever you want, and you might see some other things here as well. So we're going to come back here. So it's a neat way and a very quick way to switch between what you're doing. And if you have multiple screens, that's even better, because let's see, Windows tab. Actually, right now it's not showing my other screen. It is showing it on my other screen, but you're not seeing that. So I do have two desktops, and I can go over there and switch between them as well. Okay, the next item on here is storage sense. Now this is something I don't use, and I'm going to show you how to turn it on, and we'll take a look at it. But you might not know that some elements on your system, such as the recycle bin or temporary folder, can eat lots of hard disk space. And you're going to see that on mine here in a minute. If you're facing problems in manually managing your disk space, Storage Sense can help you in that. It can automatically get rid of the unwanted files when specific scenarios are met. You might not know that some of the elements on your system, such as the recycle bin or the temporary folder, can eat up lots of the hard disk space. If you're facing problems in manually managing the disk space, Storage Sense can help you. So let's go ahead. And there are some screenshots here, but I am going to go ahead, come down here and type in storage sense, turn on storage sense. I'm going to go there, and it takes me, and let's go ahead and full screen this. And so you can see that it's working. And it's figuring everything out. Now, in my documents folder, I got 320 gigabytes of space used. Temporary files, I've got over 300 gigabytes in temporary files. And you can choose which temporary files to remove, or you can remove them all. Under pictures, I got 124 gigabytes. And then in apps, I've got another almost 100 gigabytes. So of my 4 terabyte hard drive, I've used just over a terabyte. So it's about a quarter being used. But I could go and let's take a look at temporary files. You can deliver optimization files. You can direct. So there's some updates and some things that you can do to take a look at what you have. You can see, there's checkboxes where I can get rid of certain pieces and parts, and I can designate what I want to get rid of. So all of my thumbnails are 3 gigabytes of thumbnails. Delivery optimization files, temporary files, I've got 16 megabytes. That's not much. System error, mini dump files, not much, but what do I have a lot of? Downloads, I've got 214 gigabytes in downloads. A lot of those I probably don't need. I probably should go in and select those. I've got 88 gigabytes in my recycle bin. I can just strictly empty my recycle bin and gain almost 100 gigabytes. So this is using the storage sense built into Windows. And you can configure, and this article will tell you some of the things that you can do and how to set it up. Something else that I will not use, I don't like, but a lot of you do. And there must be a lot of call for it because so many programs say, we've just updated. Now you can do this program in dark mode. And so if you want File Explorer in dark mode, you can change it. And you do it in settings, personalization, and colors. And you change it from light to dark. I don't like dark mode. And especially when I do presentations, or when I see presentations and they're doing it in dark mode, it's very difficult as an attendee to be able to make out the screen, where if it's in light mode with the white background instead of the black background, it's a lot clearer and easier to understand for the viewer, I think. And so I don't like using the dark mode because I do so many presentations, that I want to make it as easy for you to be able to see something as can be. The Windows Reliability Monitor. If you have recently started facing troubles on your system and can't retrieve its cause, you can check the Windows Reliability Monitor to know about it. To type it, to use it, come down here and type in Windows Reliability History. Where's the monitor? Let's see, make sure I'm typing the right thing. I got to just not Windows, but reliability is what I got to type in down there. Okay, the history. I got a lot of X's here, red X's. I notice there's some problems with my subscription licensing heartbeat in my Microsoft Office. And I don't know what those problems are. I saw that earlier, and I'm not sure. That might have been what my problem was, dealing with some issues. And Edie, that may be some of the problems you're having. There may be some issues with the Microsoft websites and causing that as well. But this might be a place to look for that. And there's some things, this is all from today. All of these things seem to be okay. Successful application, removal, and so on. So it looks like everything here is okay. So I am not sure what those problems are, and I may have to investigate that more. But you might want to take a look at the reliability monitor built into Windows. Okay, it looks like
You know, that's something that they've had for many, many years. I've used it.
okay, I haven't. Check for the red crossed apps or services. They're the ones causing critical errors in the system. And so I guess I'm going to have to go in and look to see what's happening with Microsoft Office and what the problem is. What I did do, and I just noticed this when I was looking over my notes just before the meeting, and I saw that, I went and I double checked my subscription to Microsoft Office, which is now Office 360. It was Office 365. Now it's called Microsoft 365. I went and I looked, and my subscription doesn't end until September, so I know it hasn't expired. So that's not what my issue was. I was afraid that might be it, and for some reason or other, it didn't auto renew. Your virtual desktops, this is Windows 10 feature. It's one of the best for multitasking. It's like running two systems on a single screen. And so that's what I kind of showed you with the timeline. If you do the Windows and tab, you'll see it here. You'll see all the things that I have open, and I can even do a new desktop. I can click that, and then I can put something in it that I want. So now I got a second desktop, and you can see that it's there. And if I do Windows tab again, we're going to go back to desktop 1. So I can have a completely different set of windows open and switch back and forth between the two sets. So not only can I have individual windows, but I can have individual desktops on one monitor. The cloud clipboard, I can't show you because I use a third-party clipboard and have, I think, since it came out in the mid-90s, called Clipmate, when I also have a video on using Clipmate, which hasn't been updated, but works perfectly for me. It hasn't been updated probably in 8 or 10 years, but it still works and I still use it. So I can't demonstrate this. I did try it. I shut off Clipmate when this first was available on Windows, and it gives you multiple clips, so you can go back and use an older clip. So it's not limited to one clip at a time. The clipboard has been for many years. The dynamic lock, that's more in an office situation where if you walk away from your desk, it will you lock your desk, so you have to sign in with your password to get back on, and for them to be able to do anything. Windows can use devices that are paired to your PC and know when you're away and lock your PC when those devices go out of range. The God mode we've talked about before, and I've been on some meetings at different user groups that talk about the God mode, but what is it? Well, what you do is you copy and paste this right here. I'm going to copy it. I just copied it by clicking Control-C. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to close this out. So we were at my screen. We're going to close this out. And right here, I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to go to New and Folder. And where it says New Folder, that's highlighted. I'm just going to go Control-V to paste. I control it, and when I do that, it pastes what I just copied. And when I click Enter, it's now God mode. And when I open it, there's the God mode program that if you want to play around with this, be careful. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. But if you are one that likes to get in there and look around and see what's there and what you can do with administrative tools, autoplay, backup and restore windows, dates and times, and so on, all of these things, you want to go in and look at God mode. And then if you don't want it anymore, you can just tell it, okay, go ahead and delete it. And it deleted that shortcut. And we'll come back to where we were. And there's the God mode and with the dark background. And then the secret power user menu. If you go to your mouse, or your Windows Start button on your lower left, and I'm not sure if you can see it on my screen or not, but if I right mouse click instead of left mouse click, it will open up this menu with a lot of items. If you're not using that, you should. It just gives you a lot of things that you probably go searching for on a regular basis. Your device manager, event viewer, power options, apps and features, your task manager, everything is right there just by right mouse clicking your start button. And if you can't see that on the side of my screen, here's what it is in the dark mode. But you can see all the things that are in that menu. Again, that's right mouse clicking your Windows Start button. And those are the items in that. I'm going to stop the share for a moment and see if we've got some comments or questions. Don't forget you're muted.
Yeah, thanks for that tip on the ClipMate. Wow, that'll be useful. I appreciate that.
On the ClipMate?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a look at my video on it. I love it because one of the things it really does well is it allows me to do case conversion, either all uppercase, all lowercase, mixed case. It just allows me to do it a lot of other things too that I use on a regular basis. It's on my screen all the time, and it's down in the lower corner, and I can go back 5 or 6 or 10, or I can go back weeks if I need to and find old clips. And what I find myself doing is I have pages of them stored in my computer, and every once in a while I have to just delete a lot of the old ones, because when you're copy and paste, it's saving a lot of stuff I may not want saved either. So you have to just remember that.
Huey, one thing you didn't mention, you've probably mentioned it before, that I love is using your Windows key and the plus key, particularly with Zoom. People that are using Zoom don't always do what you do as far as enlarging the screen. If you hit Windows and the plus, it gives you a magnifying glass, and you can change the size of the screen that you want to magnify. You can drag the screen around or whatever, but that way you can actually see, you know, the fine details, the small text. It's very, very helpful.
Good.
Yeah.
A good hint for people, or a good tip for people.
Yeah.
Get, the Windows plus key will
Yes.
give you a magnifier. Steve, I think if your camera is live, you're frozen. Did we lose you? Yeah, we may have. Okay, any other comments or questions? I hope you're learning some things. Let's go ahead and go back to, let's do 2:15. We still have some time. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. And so that was that set of items. Before I go any further, I do want to show you you're back.
Yeah, my hourglass is on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I do want to show you one other little video I put together this week. And I don't think I showed it to this group. So you may have seen it on one of my other on one of my other meetings, but let's take a look at this. It's only a minute.
How to subscribe to a YouTube channel by Huey Poplock. You should subscribe to YouTube channels that you like.
When you find a video and the channel has other videos that you would like, you should subscribe to the channel. Click the subscribe button below a video. After clicking the subscribe button, you will be subscribed to that channel. Note the bell to the right. The bell denotes notifications. You have 3 choices when you are subscribed to a channel. If you want to receive notifications every time that author uploads a new video, then click all. If you just want some notifications, choose personalized. If want no notifications, choose none. This is what the notifications will look like. The notifications will be posted from any channels that you have subscribed and requested to be notified. You can click on any one of them to watch that video. Please subscribe to my channel and the channels of the staff of Tech for Seniors.
Just a little short video that I put together using one of the tools that I play with. And it was fun. I could change the voice. I typed in what I wanted the voice to say, and it automatically says it. That was a computerized voice. And there's different accents that I can have. I can have an English accent. I think this was the one of the Australian one. You can have an Indian accent. You can have any accent you want, or you can have a U.S. accent. And there were several voices, male and female, in all of them, and then create them. So it's a lot of fun playing with some of the toys that are out there. Not all of them are free, and you have to pick and choose which ones you want to try. And any comments about that? Please subscribe. When you look at videos, make sure you subscribe. That helps the person who is maintaining the videos on YouTube. The more subscribers we have, the better it is for us and getting found. So the more subscribers we get, the more people Google will help find your pages, our pages or our videos, and then we'll in turn get more subscribers to increase that. There are some limitations or some minimum things that we have to have. And like I only have about 200 and some odd subscribers, and I wanted to go to the CES, and I needed 10,000 subscribers to be able to qualify. Well, I'd like to get it up there, folks. Help me out. Bill, question.
Yeah, I two questions about ClipMate. Is it free?
No, but it was like 30. Gosh, again, I think I bought it in the 1990s, but I still, you still can buy it, and I think it's maybe $30 or something. It's not expensive.
And does that keep things perpetually, everything you copy, or I mean, when you shut your computer down?
Yeah, it does, and it creates a new file every so often, and so I've got files going back. As I said, I went back several years, and I just deleted a whole bunch of them. Yeah, I can go back. I don't want to bring it up because there may be some things that I copied that I don't want to share with the rest of the world. But there's
It looks
probably
like it's
50 or 100 of them right now. Marcia?
it looks like it's $34.95.
Yeah, $35. One-time charge, and the guy probably hasn't gotten a subscriber in a while. Because as I said, he hasn't updated it. He's from Spencerport, New York, which is like 5 miles from where I lived. And I even sent him an email one time and said, you know, can you give me a couple of copies of it or something to give away? He says, I don't maintain it. So I think, he works out of his house probably, and he created that and does something. He probably worked for Kodak, and they went out of business. So he probably was unemployed for a while and did that. So
Huey,
yeah.
I have ClipMate, and as you, I've had it for many, many, many years. It's more than just keeping a history of your copy to clipboard, because you can organize it into folders by subject, and it has an area called the safe, which never is deleted. So for example, I have copies of passwords and personal records and things down in that safe that's always there. Meanwhile, the stuff that you're just copying and pasting and copying and pasting and copying and pasting might go back several days and just roll over. So it's a very nice organizer.
Yeah. Let me just share my screen for a moment. Go back to my website. And we're going to go to my YouTube channel. And go to my channel. Then go to videos. I think I have it listed somewhere else, but let me just do this. And what we're going to do, we can scroll down and try to find it, or we can go to the search here and say ClipMate.
There you go.
And right here.
I've been using ClipMate for years and years.
This was a presentation I did, and it's had over 2,300 views. And I did this in 2017. And I think I've got another version of it, more up to date, or maybe the same one, but I just did it. I recorded it earlier. And if we go back to my website here, and thought maybe I had it here, but I don't. Okay. But anyway, go to my YouTube channel, and I think there's 1 or 2 copies of it there that I've done. And take a look at it. If it looks like something you might like to use, then go ahead and use it. Yeah, I think Ted Goodwin uses it. Mike said he does. I know I do. And there's a few other people over the years that have picked up from my using it and have used it, or they found it on their own. Okay, any other questions or comments before I continue? Hearing none, I will go back to sharing my screen. And come back to the WinSIG. And we were the quick tips. No, we were here, 10 work from home extensions for the Edge browser. And again, let's see, you said Windows and the plus key. Let's see what that does. Didn't do anything here. Whoops, I just clicked on an ad. I don't want that. And I got to get out of full screen to shut it off. Okay. I guess the Windows, oh yeah, here it is, the magnifier here. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to hit the Control Plus. Oh, nuts. I hit the ad again. I hate ads sometimes. Let's do it this way. Get rid of all this stuff. That won't happen. These are some extensions that they talk about. There's a OneNote Web Clipper. I use Evernote, so I don't use OneNote. Zoom has an extension. There's an Office extension. Grammarly. I shouldn't use my mouse to point because it changes color. The Grammarly for Microsoft Edge. If you don't use Grammarly, it's great spell checker, and it also checks your grammar. It's good that it does that with the name Grammarly, but I have found several times that it does give pretty good suggestions on some things that make my writing a little bit better. And then tab with a view, you can block a site, you can do some planning, and text to speech that brings productivity. And here's what the article looks like. I'm not going to go through each one. This is the OneNote Web Clipper. If you don't use OneNote, it is free as part of the Office suite, but I believe Microsoft does offer it as a free Windows add-on. And this is the OneNote Web Clipper within Microsoft Edge. The Gmail checker, read, label, and manage your Gmail from within Edge. So if you're using Edge, take a look at this article and look at some of the add-ons that you can use with your browser. Some extensions. How to perform a clean boot in Windows 10. Let's go ahead here. There we go. And get bigger. Okay, this works on home and window, home, and I think what it means Pro. You probably have a multitude of third-party applications installed on your Windows computer. Don't worry, most people do. From carrying out basic tasks such as web browsing to dishing out complex lines of code, people prefer to use alternative applications from the ones built into Windows. While these applications make our lives easier, they sometimes interfere with system functions. These may range from minor mishaps to critical errors and blue screens of death. So what's a Windows clean boot anyway? A Windows 10 clean boot enables users to rule out third-party applications as the cause of an error. It's done simply by booting the device with all third-party applications disabled. And even though the name sounds like it's an inbuilt Windows feature, it isn't. You have to manually clean boot your computer. The benefits of a clean boot aren't just limited to diagnosing errors. It's been known to help when Windows updates don't install properly. It's also especially useful when your OS feels sluggish and you want to check what may be causing the issue. How to clean boot and fix errors. Clean booting is a relatively simple process. Once users have tried it a few times, before listing steps, users should know that some of the actions require administrator privileges. Your computer may also not function in the way you're used to, but there's no need to sweat it. This happens because sometimes users aren't even aware that some menial tasks are being taken care of by third-party software. And you can see, you go to the system configuration. So in the start menu, type in sysconfig. And you'll come up with the system configuration app. When you do, it's going to open. Sorry, I can't make this bigger. I probably can use the magnifier, but then some other things may not work properly because I've tried that before. But what you want to do is you want to go to services. When you go to services, what you're going to see is everything that's running in the background. And you'll see a lot of it is Microsoft. If you hide all the Microsoft services, these are all of the other software vendors that you have installed things. So if you want to clean boot, what you do is you disable all of those and then unhide the Microsoft services, and you'll see just Microsoft items there. So let's go ahead. So this is what I said, hide all the Microsoft services, check all of the services listed and disable all, was what I said. Now open the Task Manager. There's a lot of ways you can get to Task Manager. You can hit Control-Alt-Delete in the Task Manager window. Another way you can do is you can come down to your start bar or your task bar, right mouse click and go to Task Manager there. Remember, in Windows, you can do all sorts of things. It just opened it, but I'm going to close it again. You can come over here and remember under the Start button, you right mouse click. You can find Task Manager there. Now I'll open it. Still opens it in the same place. So what you're going to do is you're going to see, and then you're going to see Startup, and you'll see everything that starts up in your computer when you start. And let's see. So now open Task Manager and then select all the services one by one and disable. So we're going to go back into, let's see, we did that. And so in the startup, you can disable any of the ones that you want to, or all of them. If you do all of them, then your reboot, they won't start automatically. Then you'll have a very clean boot of Windows. And then you can turn them on one at a time by retracing the steps that I did, open up Task Manager and then adding something that you use at startup. So with the clean boot, while in clean boot state, open up System Configuration under the Services tab, hide all the Microsoft services, and now open Task Manager and go to the Startup tab similarly and enable the top half of the services and reboot your computer. And then keep doing this until you find the error that you're getting, and by the process of elimination, you may find the program that was causing the issue. And with that, I'm going to stop share and see if we got some comments or questions about this. Is there anyone here that has done that? I know I've done it several times, and I have gotten it down to the place where I could figure out what was causing my problem and either uninstall that program or try to go to their website and see if there was a workaround, see if there was a setting that I needed to change or something. Ken, you had a question?
Yeah, no, you said anybody used it. When I used to, after I retired, I ran a computer repair shop for a while, and I used it a lot because it's the easiest way to find things that don't work in people's computers. And somebody will get, gee, it takes me 5 minutes or 10 minutes to boot up. You can always find them that way.
Yeah, what's causing your computer to boot so slowly? You can, by eliminating all of the things that you've added on, it's going to open up very quickly. And you can add them back one at a time and then turn that one off and try something else, and you see which one takes a long time to boot. Or you can do, if you got a lot of them, like I do, I may do a whole bunch of them. And if, it's not slowing down with these, so I know it's none of those, I may shut them off and then do another group. And then, now it's booting slowly. I know it's one of them. So now I turn them all off and then I turn them on one at a time to find out which one is the cause. So by the process of elimination.
That one is a good one. And also, the Systems Process Explorer is another good one. Between those two things, because it doesn't show all of them, but the System Process Explorer shows even subroutines that are running. Okay. So it's really important. Don't mess with it if you don't understand it. That's the system.
Absolutely. A lot of this, if some of the terms that we're using are strange to you or you're not sure what you're doing, don't do this. Take it to somebody that knows how to use these things.
Yeah, right.
Tom, you had a question?
I had a statement. I'm getting some interference, audio interference when you speak. I'm wondering if it's just my computer. Is anyone else hearing it?
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
A little crunchy.
Same here.
Okay. Well, let me make sure I'm on the right microphone here. Okay. Headphones. Okay, let me switch let's try this. Is this any better?
Much better.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cleaner. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been using Crisp, which is a noise reduction software in between. And if there's a lot of noise in the background, it will cut it out, but apparently it has some issues. So thank you for letting me know. And has it been that way the whole program?
Yes, this last episode talking about your clean boot.
Okay, so that means that Crisp didn't start correctly when I came back on or when I switched. So anyway, I turned it off. Right now there's no noise here in the house. We've got some company there outside enjoying the nice Florida weather for those of you who are other places, because it's a gorgeous day here. Okay, any comments, questions? Got about 10 more minutes. And we'll see where we are in our list. So share screen. Okay. Power usage, quick tips. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip that one. How much RAM do you really need? Let's close off with this. This was a pretty good article, I thought, because I get asked this a lot, especially when somebody's looking for a computer. And this is a good article to refer them to. So how much computer memory do you need? First of all, for those of you who are less experienced than some of the others, when we talk about memory, think of memory in a computer. Think of your computer as two different parts: the brains and file cabinets. Brains is your RAM. Your file cabinets is your storage or your hard drive or your SSD card. And a lot of times we interchange the term memory between both of them. So what we're talking about now is the memory or the RAM that when you shut your computer down, it goes away. And so it usually is in 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 or more gigabytes of RAM. And so what is RAM? And it's usually on sticks like this that are in your computer. You probably have never looked in your computer. A lot of you haven't. But before we look at how much RAM you need, let's briefly review what RAM is in case you're not familiar. RAM, or random access memory, is a form of short-term storage in your computer. It's where the operating system keeps processes for programs you currently have open. When you shut down your machine, the contents of the memory clears out. Because RAM allows for fast access, you can switch between open programs quickly. It's much more efficient to swap between programs running in RAM than to pull them from your storage drive and then open them up each time you want to switch back and forth between a window, let's say in Windows. So how much do you have? Well, in Windows 10, go to Settings, System, and About. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to Settings. I'm going to go to System. And I'm going to go all the way down to About. And you'll see on my system, installed RAM I have, it's got 64 gigabytes of RAM. I purposely put a lot of RAM in this. But yours is probably going to have 2, 4, or 8 gigabytes of RAM. Note that if your system type is listed as 32-bit operating system, you can only use 4 gigabytes of RAM no matter how much you have inside. So if you're using the 32-bit Windows, you are only using 4 gigabytes of any RAM that's in the machine. You'll need a 64-bit copy of Windows to use more than that. It was a limitation of the 34-bit software. Okay, and here's if you had 16 gigabytes of RAM installed. On the Mac OS, if you open the Apple menu at the top left and choose About This Mac, the resulting Overview tab, you'll see a line for memory showing how much RAM you have. And here's what that will look like. If you use Linux, you can enter the free command in a terminal window to display RAM information. However, this displays the memory amount in kilobytes, which isn't convenient. Use free space -H instead to display the amount of in gigabytes or in megabytes as appropriate. So how much do you need? Now that you know how much RAM your computer has, let's look at some common amounts of memory to see how much is right for your needs. 2 gigabytes and under is deficient. You shouldn't use a computer, a Windows computer, especially if it only has 2 gigabytes of RAM. You're going to be very slow, and a lot of things may not even run. You're unlikely to find a modern computer that comes with just 2 gigabytes, but you may have an older computer you're still using that does have 2 gigabytes of RAM. Windows will run on 2 gigabytes, but it's going to be god-awful slow. Most cheap smartphones available today even come with more than this. You should avoid buying a computer with 2 gigabytes of RAM. And if your current machine has this little, consider upgrading when you can, if you're not going to buy a new computer. Now, 4 gigabytes of RAM is sufficient for basic use. While 4 gigabytes of RAM was considered the baseline for most computers, while the norm is moving towards 8 gigabytes now, you'll still find some budget laptops that come with 4 gigabytes of memory. But is 4 gigabytes of RAM good? 4 gigabytes RAM is sufficient if you only use your computer for basic tasks like web browsing, light word processing, or spreadsheet work, and emailing. It's not enough for a lot of modern video games and will struggle if you open many Chrome tabs or run dozens of programs at once. 8 gigabytes is a good baseline. Most mid-range machines you'll find today include 8 gigabytes of RAM. Notably, all of Apple's MacBook models include this, at least this amount. 8 gigabytes is a good modern standard for RAM. It's enough to juggle several tasks at once without slowdown and is sufficient for gaming too. You'll probably want more RAM if you often edit 4K video, stream high-end games to Twitch, or even keep many resource-hungry programs open all the time. But if you're not a heavy computer user, 8 gigabytes of RAM should work fine. 16 gigabytes of RAM, great for power users. 16 gigabytes of RAM is a great amount if you use your computer for heavy tasks. Designed for software, video editing, and modern demanding games will all have more room to work with if you have 16 gigabytes of RAM. However, it's overkill if you don't fit this description. Those who only open a few browser tabs and don't play video games or work with large media files can go with less RAM. 32 gigabytes or more of memory are enthusiasts only. People who do a lot of video editing like myself or video games, it's good. Now, video RAM is separate. We've considered general system RAM, but if you have a dedicated graphics card in your PC, you should know that this has its own memory. This is called video RAM or VRAM. VRAM holds visual information that games need to display and efficiently passes it to your monitor. Even if you have a lot of regular RAM, game or high-end design software performance could suffer if you have insufficient video RAM. Now, however, I had a choice to get my 64 gigabytes of RAM on my computer and use the onboard video, or get a video card and have a lot less onboard RAM. And I opted for the 64 gigabytes of RAM because the video RAM will use some of my computer RAM as it needs it. And by having 64, I'll have enough left to be able to still do a lot of the things that I want to do. So you might take that in consideration. If you're using a lot of video and you have an onboard video card, you might need more RAM just to be able to do some of the video things. And that may be why you're having sluggish problems when you're watching a video or watching something on YouTube. And on that note, I'm going to open it up for any final questions or comments.
Huey?
Yes, Bill.
Two things. One, you're always working on trying to make the print larger for the people watching. First thing you could do is to make your browser screen full screen instead of leaving it where it is in the middle. That should make it bigger. And the second one is if you're going to use print friendly, you can increase the size of the text that it uses. So using those two things, you may be able to improve the idea of what people can read.
One of the reasons I don't full screen the browser is I have the speaker menu at the top and I can't get to some of the tabs and I can't get to do some of the things that I need to do.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons I don't do that. And yes, and I have been trying to update or to magnify the type in the other program to make it larger. So I could make it even bigger. Yeah.
Howie, you can use Control Plus or Control and move your mouse wheel to adjust the size of text within any browser.
Yes, and I've been doing that. Yep. But what I've been doing is going out and using the print friendly instead, because that cuts out all the advertisements and the other pictures and so on that I don't really need.
Huey, I know you use two screens, and you might consider your main screen for what you're doing and sharing with us, and then use your secondary screen for those speaker and Zoom controls.
Yeah, it just sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. It's just
a suggestion.
Yep, just the habit I got into, I guess. All right, so let's
just advising your participants that about the magnifying glass, so that they can hit the Windows and plus and enlarge the screen however large they need it, move it around. It seems to me that works. That way you don't have to adjust every time you're showing a different website. So
yeah, he's right. In other words, you can also full screen your browser and hit the Control Plus and get it larger on your screen as well.
Windows Plus, not Control.
Yeah, the Windows Plus, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do one final thing here. Close this down. And tell you that this has been the Windows Special Interest Group for the Central Florida Computer Society for Sunday, March 14th. I'm glad you all joined. We have a great presentation coming up in the main meeting of the CFCS We hope you're going to stay here. I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll restart it. At least I hope it's still running. And I'm going to stop my share. Stop the recording. And then